Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining the Rock and Metal Guardian today. I'm Dane, your host. Hope you're doing well wherever you may be this holiday season. Today I'm starting a new mini-series called Back to Back, the greatest album pairs of all time. And I will have a total of 20 episodes, and each episode will be one pair from a particular band or artist. And I'm not ranking anything, I'm just presenting them as I go through my list. I could rank them, but I'm not going to. That would be a monumental task, I think. And the point of this is to just showcase and talk about and do a retrospective on what are seminal works, two seminal works that are back to back by these particular artists or bands. So that's the first qualification. They must be seminal works. 2, they have to complement one another. 3, they're what I call companion albums, and that's pretty much the same thing as they complement one another. They go so well together with one another. And in the discography, for the most part, there isn't much of this again. There may be, and as you'll see, there is at least one band or artist that has 2 of these, but we'll get to that. And the second album in the chronology picks up where the first one left off in many ways. Maybe not totally, but in many parts, yes. And you can consider both of these album pair, or the pair rather, both of these albums as a double album in many ways. And I think some of us do that. We put them in our playlist and we play them back to back, or in many cases, as I will talk about for some of these, I will mix up the track listings to make them fresh, but play both of them at the same time as one big giant double album, and even make a disc of those relisted tracks. So let's get started. Today's episode is going to be about Fleetwood Mac. So the Fleetwood Mac album, sometimes referred to as the White Album, because it's not the original Fleetwood Mac. So we're talking about 1975. It's got Mick Fleetwood himself in tails, and McVie is on his knees, or he's a shorter version of himself. There's like this crystal ball in the air floating above, and he's looking up at it, right? So 1975, and it's called the White Album by many people, including myself, to distinguish it from the first album, going back to when Peter Green was in the band. So let's get to talking about it, shall we? So Fleetwood Mac, the first in the pair, comes out in July of 1975. It's a new beginning for the band after the Bob Welch era, that California sounding style that they had for the most part. And this comes on the tails of Heroes Are Hard to Find, which is 1974. And that whole period, that last album of the Bob Welch era, was riddled with controversy because of a schism in the band, very similar to what happened with Deep Purple. And so there's these lawsuits going on. It's a very turbulent time for the band. And of course, with Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham joining the band, it's also a very turbulent time because they're fighting, they're breaking up, and a lot of the songs found in Rumors are part and parcel dealing with that, rather. So let's start with the first track, Monday Morning. This is our intro to Lindsey Buckingham as a vocalist and a guitar player, and I think it's fabulous. Lindsey's vocals, I think, are very underrated, even by today's standards. He doesn't get enough love, and I'll go on record in saying I don't think this album gets enough attention that Rumors does, and you'll see why I think it should, hence the episode, right? So Monday Morning is a great introduction to Lindsey if you're not familiar, or you weren't familiar with his work in with Buckingham Nicks, right? It's just a great way to open the album. Next, you get Warm Ways, which is my least favorite track on the album. I do like it, but it's the one that I will often skip. But it's still a fabulous song, but it pales in comparison to the rest of the tracks, which are even more fabulous, if that makes sense. So I like the song quite a bit, but I will often skip it because I think it's a great song, but it doesn't contribute to the flow of the overall. But where else would you put it, right? So anyway, so this is Christine McVie, also known as, remember, for she got married to the bass player. She was Christine Perfect, right? Anyway, the next song is Blue Letter, and this is, I think, is a very underrated track. You get Lindsay again on vocals. And what's great about this album, before we talk about Blue Letter, is like so many bands who want to have every member of the band showcase their talents, except you don't get a drum solo from Mick, right? But you get all the different vocal stylings from 3 of the members. It's just fabulous. So Blue Letter, Lindsay again on vocals. The guitars here, for me personally, were reminiscent of the Eagles specifically, and the vocals a little bit, but I'll talk about that on a later song here. The whole song really has an Eagles vibe to it, but the guitars here are just, like the vocals, just fabulous. Next is one of the hits off the album, Rhiannon. This is our intro to Stevie Nicks, if we weren't familiar with Buckingham Nicks, as I said. And what a great introduction to Stevie. I did not listen to these albums chronologically because I was too young. The first album I heard was Rumors, and then I went back and heard this one, thanks to my mom, and I fell in love with this album. I still love this album. There are times when I will champion this album more than I will Rumors. Rumors has been talked about to death, of course, that sort of thing, right? So Rhiannon is just a great, whether or not she's talking about the Celtic mythological character or not, doesn't matter. It's a fabulous song. The lyrics are quite wonderful. And of course, this is, as I said, one of my favorite, or I don't think I did, but this is one of my favorite songs of this era. All right, next is Over My Head. This is a great Christine McVie song. One of her best. And I'll leave it at that. The next song is Crystal. This is an underrated gem. Lindsay's vocals, phrasing sounds like the Eagles again, even more so than Blue Letter. And it's the phrasing. And the guitar on here has an Eagles vibe to it as well, just a little bit. But mostly the vocals has a Glenn Frey feel, at least to my ears. And next we get another hit off the album, Landslide. Great song, the vocals. So when it comes to, you know, if you were introduced, if you heard this for the first time back when it came out, and this was your introduction to Lindsay and Stevie, you had to feel like, if you were a fan, you had to feel like, wow, they've done, and keep in mind, I love these 2 albums, but I'm more of a Peter Green person. I've talked about that in a previous video, but I still love these 2 albums. Some of the later stuff, not so much with this lineup, but man, these 2 albums are wonderful. So great album pairing, as I said. In fact, I listened to this album and Rumors yesterday night, back to back, like it would a double album, all straight through, but I didn't change any of the tracks. Wow. So Landslide, great acoustic number. It's been done a couple times or a few times as cover tunes. Smashing Pumpkins comes to mind, right? Of course, this is the definitive version. The live versions are great as well. The acoustic and steel guitar on Landslide are just fabulous. The next song, World Turning, another underrated gem. What's great about this album, go ahead and say it now, I don't have to wait till the end, is you got quite a few hit songs on here, not as much as Rumors, 4 or 5, but all the deep tracks are great as well. That's what makes this album solid. In fact, I would call it just short of being a masterpiece, if you ask me, but I just love this album. So World Turning is next. You have a great guitar intro, which segues into Lindsay's vocals, and I'll just say that this is a very powerful song. I love it. The next is Sugar Daddy. This is a wonderful song as well. It sounds like it should belong in Rumors. Hence the theme of this and the other videos that will follow. You could take one track off and put it on the other. Some of these not so much, but overall they still have the same vibe, production, that kind of thing. But this song definitely feels like it could belong on Rumors. The next is I'm So Afraid, which is the most, of all the songs on the album, this is different from any other song. It's unique. It doesn't sound like anything else on the album. It's dark. It's very different, as I said, from the rest of the album. It has a melancholy tone. Both the vocals and the guitar have a melancholy vibe to it. And you have this great bluesy outro that I just come to time and time again. Lindsay's vocals are fabulous here. And then the last song on the album, as you know, is Say You Love Me, which is another hit. It's a Christine McVie hit. It's fabulous. and it sounds like it could belong on Rumors as well. So those are the tracks on Fleetwood Mac or the White Album. And I won't say much about Rumors because Rumors has been talked to death. But Rumors, the stuff that I will say is that this is the band's magnum opus. But in my humble opinion, Fleetwood Mac or the White Album is a smidge beneath. And on some days, I like it more than I like Rumors. And again, it probably has something to do with the fact that this album has been played to death, right? That's still a great album. So you get Secondhand News, which I think is underrated. You have some nice acoustic stuff here. Dreams and the follow-up song to that, track 2, I mean, it's just great. Stevie, we're being reintroduced in 1977, a year and a half or more later after the previous album, and reminded about how great she was on that previous album. She's at it again. Dreams is just amazing. Not the same as Rhiannon or the other songs that she sings, but it's just great. This is a song us Fleetwood Mac lovers come back to again and again and again. And speaking of the word again, the third track, Never Going Back Again. This is a great acoustic number. I think it's fabulous. The next song I'm a little tired of, and that's Don't Stop, but I will listen to it. The next song is also one that I'm a little tired of it, but I'll listen to it. It's still a good song. It's like, again, listening to it so much, right, is Go Your Own Way. And again, this is that song, one of them, about the tension between Nix and Lindsay. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think there's a little bit of that tension on the White Album too, perhaps with respect to I'm So Afraid and perhaps Over My Head. I'll have to look at the lyrics again, but I think there may be some of that as well, or a hint of that, right? I don't know for sure. And then after Go Your Own Way, we get another underrated gem, but it's a hit, and it has been for a while, and that's Songbird by Christine McVie. She has the vocal lead on this, and it's great. Next is The Chain, which is along with Dreams and I Don't Want to Know and Gold Dust Woman. Those are my 4 favorite songs on this album. The Chain is fabulous. Got some great bass here. You Make Lovin' Fun, perhaps, that follows The Chain, is my least favorite song. I love the way Christine McVie sings, but it's a good song. Just of the 11 or 12 songs on here, this is my least favorite. I Don't Want to Know, as I said, is fabulous. It's one of my favorite. I love it. The deep cut Oh Daddy, I think, is underrated. Gold Dust Woman is one of the songs I never get tired of. Some great bass on here as well. And then finally, the fabulous and underrated deep cut that closes the album, Silver Springs. This is one of those, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Just a great album. So this notion of what people have talked about is definitely, I'm in agreement with. And what I mean is, when people talk about this album, this is one of those albums you have to listen to with Rumors. I'm talking about you have to listen to with headphones, because this is this layering genius that's going on with the band. And I think part and parcel has to do with what Lindsay brought to the table. And his guitar work, of course, on this album and the previous one are very underrated. Lindsay doesn't get enough kudos for his guitar works, or vocals for that matter. Here he's in his prime. Okay, he's still in his prime in Tusk and some albums that come out, but this is the prime of the prime, if you ask me, hence again the video. So one more time, Dreams, The Chain, I Don't Want to Know, and Gold Dust Woman are my 4 favorite tracks on here. If we go back to the White Album or Fleetwood Mac, my favorite songs on here are Monday Morning, Rhiannon, Over My Head, Landslide, I'm So Afraid, and Say You Love Me. So there you have it, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're having a great day, and hope you continue to have a wonderful holiday season. See you soon. Thanks. Take care. Bye.